Brighton 4, Chelsea 1. I was sitting with you during that game, Charlie, so you already know my thoughts, but what do you think, mate?
Mate, it was fucking awful. You know, Halloween weekend, and we served up a horror show today. It was honestly disgraceful. You know, it's just completely wrong from the off. I think, you know, we saw Potter try that system against Salzburg, and it worked quite well. But you could see at times they did get in behind us. And today, Brighton were just on us straight away. We're basically playing with 3 centre backs, and that's it. You know, Sterling and Pulisic providing no defensive help at all. And what do you expect, really? You know, Cucurella is doing basically 2 people's jobs. He's doing his own job, and then he's obviously having to cover for Sterling or covering for Pulisic, whoever's playing on that side. And is it no wonder that every single time Solly March was absolutely cooking him? Every time down that side he was getting in behind him. And yeah, everything that went wrong today just went wrong. You know, there wasn't really any fight, there wasn't really any desire. I just thought it was terrible today. It was terrible, and Potter's done really well since he's been here. But it was almost written that today, you know, De Zerbi looking for his first win as Brighton manager, he gets it today over Potter coming back. Yeah. And he could have almost predicted that before the day started. But yeah, I just think the manager's got to take this one on the chin today and accept that he got it wrong. You know, I was saying after the Salzburg game, you know, I just don't think you can play this in the Premier League, particularly perhaps away from home as well against a team that, all right, is struggling but does play decent football. You know, we're carrying 2 passengers in the wide areas. We're basically playing with no wingers, no wing backs, and we paid for it big time because they battered us the first half.
I mean, you talk about no fight. It astounds me that people are saying that. The fact that for me, if the players are going for it, they're trying to score goals, you know, they're not just dropping deep and allowing the team to bully them. For me, that's no fight. We didn't do that.
No, but what I'm saying is, all right, it improved in the second half.
It did improve.
Yeah, it did. But it's easy to play when you're 3-0 down. Like, you've got.
How's it easy though? What makes it?
You've got nothing to lose. You've got nothing to lose when you're 3-0 down. You can express yourself. You can you can just come out and have a go. You've got nothing to lose. No one expects you to get anything. Where was that in the first half? It just wasn't there.
Well,
we were terrible.
That was tactical. Surely you can admit that. You just said it yourself with the wing backs. You know, we changed it to a 4 and we improved.
We improved, yes, but you had to change something because that was awful in the first half. And I don't want to see that Pulisic Sterling experiment with both playing wing backs again because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
So is that the player's fault or the manager? Because he put them there.
The manager's got to take big responsibility. And look, all right, Pulisic weren't great today. Sterling wasn't great today, and Sterling's been poor for a while now. But I think today in isolation it's a little bit hard to blame them personally because these are attacking players being asked to play play in a wing back position and track back and be defensive. They don't want to do that. They're not defensively minded at all. So I can't blame them necessarily, but the manager's got to take responsibility today. I felt today he got it wrong.
Okay. What would you have done differently if you were Graham Potter?
I would have started 2 conventional wing backs. So I probably would have played. Well, I would have played Azpilicueta and Chilwell. In the 2 wing back positions, just because you need a bit of defensive solidity. You know, players that have actually got defensive capabilities. Attacking players, they hate defending. You know, it's the last thing they want to be doing, and particularly in a wing-back position where you've got to get up and down the pitch. All Sterling and Pulisic were doing, getting up the pitch, weren't bothering to come back down and track back. So you're just leaving Cucurella and Chalobah exposed every time. And as I said, Solly March was absolutely cooking Cucurella one side, and then we saw the Japanese winger, who I'm forgetting his name now, but he was battering Chalobah on the other side as well because they're getting no help from those wide players that are supposed to be tracking back, and they're not.
Yeah, I think when you look at the defensive aspect, Pulisic and Sterling were absolutely poor. But let's look at the more offensive side of their games. How did you think those 2 played? Going at the opposite end. Because if they weren't defending, you know, were they okay going up? What did you think about their offensive performance?
They were okay. Nothing special. I mean, Pulisic did okay. He should have scored. But he kind of, you know, he had a go. I mean, this is the bare basic minimum. You should be having a go, but. I don't know. I don't think we're that far away from a Raheem Sterling conversation, and I know that sounds ridiculous.
What do you mean by that?
A conversation about him. What's he offering right now? I know he's playing wing back at the moment, and that's not his position, and I get that. But even before then, you know, we signed him to make a difference, and he's not making a difference right now. He's really struggling at the moment, and it's up to Potter to try and find where's best suited for him and get him playing there as often as possible, because playing Raheem Sterling at wing back is a complete waste of money, and there's no point signing him if you're going to do that.
I think that's an interesting conversation because we talk about Sterling. He was pretty decent under Tuchel, to be fair. He scored some good goals. Scored quite a few of them, to be fair, as well. So I couldn't criticise him too much during that period. But we also look at players like Conor Gallagher, for example, just to name one. He didn't have a good time under Tuchel at all, and I feel like Potter's completely raised his game. So I just think that players, some of them suit some managers, some of them don't. But if you're a good player, you can play in different systems.
For sure, but of course, but it doesn't. Playing a winger as a wing back, it's not helpful. If it's not helpful it's not conducive to Sterling producing his best football and the football that we signed him to play. But it's as simple as that. Pulisic is not a wing back. We didn't sign him to play wing back. We signed him to influence things at the top end of the pitch, not have to go back and do all this defensive stuff. That's not getting the best out of those players. That's not maximising those players' potential to deliver on the pitch. It's actually causing a hindrance to them. And look, I'm not going in on Potter today at all. I think he's done really well since he's been here. But if we're looking at the bigger picture, that's 3 games with no win now. Okay.
Just beat Salzburg.
No, in the league. Premier League, sorry. So Brentford and Man United draws, and then this humiliation today. You now look at it and you think, right, Newcastle are ahead of us. Newcastle are now ahead of us in the league. Spurs are ahead of us by 3 more points now than they were before. United, if they win tomorrow, go above us. So they're going into a really tricky run of games. Arsenal, who are in really good form. We've got City in the cup, and then we've got Newcastle as well to round out before the World Cup. I don't want to sound dramatic, but if we don't win those games or at least pick up 4 points from those 2 league games, we could be looking at going into the World Cup in like 6th or 7th place in the league. And then suddenly the perspective completely changes and you forget about that unbeaten run and you look at it and think, well, hang on a second, what's going on here?
I don't think that's too bad, to be fair. And I'm not saying being 7th is too bad, but I think having a break is actually going to be really beneficial for us, just because it's going to give Reece James a chance to come back. All those players that are injured, they can recover a little bit. Obviously, Jorginho's not even playing.
Well, I was going to say, I think he was a massive miss today. You noticed how in the midfield there was just a complete lack of control. There was no control there. It was all so easy. And people that they criticised Jorginho, well, he doesn't play today. And look what happened. We were clueless in the midfield. We were getting overrun all the time. There was no one was controlling the midfield section of the pitch, and that's what he brings to the team. So sometimes you have to see to see a player's impact, you have to take them out the side and then watch how we play. And I'm sorry, today Jorginho would have been a plus for us to have in.
Yeah, who do you think he would replace then? Because we've got quite a few attacking-minded midfielders in there with Loftus-Cheek, Gallagher, Mount, Kovacic as well.
Yeah, it's tricky, but I mean, I if we were sticking with that system, kind of what we went with, kind of 3-5-2, I don't know. I probably would have just left Ruben on the bench,
even in the form he's been in.
Yeah, probably. But again, people criticising Loftus-Cheek today. We were sitting behind a guy that was battering him, and I'm like thinking, hang on a second, he's played well in midfield. This is a midfield player playing fucking right back in a flat 4 in the second half. Like, what do you expect? Like, honestly, what do you expect him to do? He's not going to suddenly, turn up and put in a worldy performance. We're filling round holes with square pegs here. And that's poor squad planning in that right wing back position. I know Bowley's just come in, and there were other areas that we had to address in the squad in the summer. But isn't it so obvious that every time Reece James gets injured, we're fucked. We have no one suitable to go there. People don't want to see an ageing Azpilicueta, and then we're faced with a situation like today where we're playing a winger there, or we have to play a central midfield player there. That's not good enough. That's got to be addressed as soon as possible.
So if you're Bowley, what sort of business would you look towards in January?
A central midfield player and a right back. We have to. We have to. We can't rely on Reece James to be fit all season. Plus, we can't play him every game. So, that's got to be addressed, because that's costing us big time.